Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our virtual Counselors Day today. My name is Dr. Rachel Beach. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management at Cal State San Bernardino. I'm just so excited that we're able to offer this session for you all today. It's been about a year since we had our last Counselors Day, and obviously tons have changed in the last 12 months and really even in the last 2.5. And while we can't be together in person on campus, I'm glad that we're able to at least connect today to provide some really critical updates. Welcome to our Counselors Day program. And before we get started, I do want to say thank you to all those of the folks who are helping out today, who put this together, and really the fact that, you know, we've changed a lot and that we've had to adjust in the way we do our work. And so it's, I know, been a big lift. And so thank you to our teams who are making this possible for you all today. We want to just know and we recognize the fact that you have a lot of questions and we will be able to provide you with the best answers that we can to share with your admitted and prospective students and their families. As their counselor, we know how critical you are to their decision-making process, whether or not that's for this upcoming term in fall or when they're thinking about planning for the fall 2021 admission cycle. We really appreciate everything that you do for your students. I want to make sure that you understand that we recognize that work. So thank you for being here. In today's program, we'll be showcasing the different leadership from across our areas and centers in enrollment management, and they'll be providing critical updates, and we'll have a Q&A session available to you once we finish those presentations and updates. Use the chat feature that's available to ask your questions. We'll be curating through those and asking the appropriate leadership those questions as they come, as we go into the question and answer period. Know that if for some reason we don't get to your question and answer during the live session today, we will be working to answer all of your questions individually when we have a chance after the session wraps today. Now, we cannot begin a session for such a critical audience without a message from our president. Dr. Tomas D. Morales is the 4th president of Cal State San Bernardino and is a staunch advocate of the university's commitment to student success. Dr. Morales has championed the importance of access to higher education and preparing young people for collegiate success throughout his extensive career as a dedicated educational leader. Our university is dedicated to diversity, a fundamental principle within our educational mission. As Dr. Morales has often said, it is an essential part of our DNA. It is my great pleasure to introduce this short video message from our president, Dr. Tomas D. Morales.
Good morning. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to our Counselors Day virtual meeting. While this format is different from what we are accustomed to, considering the current environment, I believe it is the best possible way for us to remain connected and focused on our mutual goal, helping students succeed. Everything you do is essential in allowing students to continue their academic journey and achieve their personal goals and professional aspirations. On behalf of the entire Cal State San Bernardino community, I want to personally thank each and every one of you for helping students navigate the process of applying to and enrolling in higher education, especially those looking to make CSUSB their choice destination. This university has been providing quality education to all who seek it for more than 50 years. We understand and embrace the needs of those we serve. At present, 86% of our students come to us from within San Bernardino and Riverside counties. Among our undergraduates, 81% are first generation and 61% are Pell Grant recipients. As part of our goal to help every student succeed, we are committed to providing the resources they need. That includes tutoring and mentoring programs to assist them as they advance in their studies. Student research, including working directly with faculty, which studies indicate as being one of the most inspiring and memorable events in a student's collegiate career. And as conditions allow, the opportunity to participate in our study abroad programs, expanding their knowledge and life experiences around the world. We tell our students to believe that they can do anything they choose to do, and that there are plenty of resources available at CSUSB to help make it happen. Our top priority, now and always, is the health and safety and welfare of our students. During the current COVID-19 outbreak, we have integrated virtual learning and other modalities that allow students to progress in their academic career while adhering to physical distancing guidelines. That builds upon the efforts put forth by our outstanding personnel who provide health and safety services for our campus community, including our exceptional campus police department, our student health center, and our recreation and wellness center. I invite you to connect with our Office of Admissions to remain updated on all the current information and updated deadlines involving student application process. Student recruitment, along with campus tours and events, will assist with scheduling virtual information sessions and, when conditions permit, in-person opportunities to visit the campus. Thank you for taking part in today's meeting. Together, I am confident we will continue helping students achieve their dreams of earning a college degree.
Thanks to President Morales for sharing that video with us today. I do know how critical he feels you are to student success as they transition to us here at Cal State San Bernardino. Our first presentation today is by one of the newest directors of our team. She's joined us after serving at Cal State Fullerton as our Assistant Director of Admissions and is now doing an exceptional job leading our team as the Director of Admissions Operations. Please help me in welcome Ms. Lisa Rubio.
Good morning, all, and welcome to our virtual Counselors Day. Just a brief welcome page for you, as I am joining Cal State San Bernardino as of November 19th and have not met many of you in person. I hope to do that soon, but for today, we will virtually be introduced. First of all, I want to tell you that I've been welcomed to the Coyote community with such kindness and support, so I really am grateful for a lot of you reaching out, asking questions, and being great colleagues. I'm going to go over several highlights with you today and provide different numbers for you and updates on both our freshman class and our transfers. Feel free to ask those questions so that we can address them later in the session. I also want to acknowledge such hard work that you all have transitioned with us through this trying time. We've received lots of emails, and I've been really working to communicate with you regularly about the different updates that are going on. I'm sure that there is more to come, so just take this all and please feed this to your students appropriately. We hope to answer many of your questions. So let's get started and go through many of the information that you're here for today. So my first slide here is just a general reminder about CSUSB's impaction as a campus. We are impacted for freshmen and transfers, and because of that, we utilize both local and out-of-local criteria for admission. On top of that, we also have several majors. We have 5 listed here that are highly impacted and require additional criteria. I've laid out for you both the freshman and the transfer requirements. You will see a slash in the middle that indicates our local cutoff and then our out of local cutoff for that major. I really encourage you to have your students reach out to the departments directly, view the websites, and look at the different criteria in order to apply to the program. Please note there are a few programs that on top of the GPA or eligibility index requirement also require prerequisites. And so for kinesiology, allied health, you'll see that transfers have a GPA cutoff as well as prerequisite courses. Pre-nursing has prerequisite courses at both levels, freshmen and transfers. Please make sure that you are giving time for your students to reach those criteria and that they understand the GPA for those prerequisite courses as well as the overall notes. So for our first-time freshmen, it's a very exciting fall so far. Our total applications are over 14,000. And our local students, I've given you the criteria in there, the direct breakdowns. And so over half of our population of applications, 7,313, are local students, which is amazing. To date, we have offered admission to 11,100 freshmen, which represents 78% of our application pool. It's a very strong number. We had amazing, talented, high-achieving students this year. And I did give you the number that have accepted their offer as of 4/21, which was Tuesday, but I ran an update this morning and I want to share that we are now at 683 freshmen. So it's grown just in the past 2 days. We have utilized the impacted major criteria cutoffs for both freshmen and transfers. And just a quick note here on the bottom, our PACE Presidential Scholars, which is part of the honors program, has invited 91 of our most exceptional freshmen to join the program. They have extended their accept date as well to June 1st. So please, if you have those students, encourage them to look at the program, get more information, and find out what the scholarship has to offer for them. So moving to our upper division transfers, it really is a high achieving exceptional class. We have 9,500 transfer applications in total, and 62% of that is our local students, represented by 5853. It's a really high achieving class. We've offered admission to 6627, which represents 70% of our application pool. The accept numbers as of Tuesday were 1374, but as of this morning, we've gone up to 1,545. So that is a growing population, and students are saying yes and accepting to become a Coyote in the fall. We also utilized impacted major criteria for our cutoffs. And please note that all ADT applicants, both in progress and verified, were given a 0.1 GPA bump for the impacted majors that honor the similar major program, which is psychology, social work, and criminal justice, and a 0.2 GPA bump for non-impacted majors. So speaking of associate degrees for transfers, or ADTs, I represented them in a chart here to show you what our fall class looks like. So of our application pool, we had nearly 5,000 that indicated that they were self-reporting an ADT degree. How many of those were reported as in progress? 2,800. So 2,800 are potentially being completed by the end of this term, which is amazing. And we had over 1,000 that were already verified completed. So again, a very strong class. We began coding these students, and they will get some emails to reach out to them indicating on their next steps what to do. The deadlines for our fall have been posted on our website. I encourage you to look at those. They are listed here as well. Although many have passed already, the closing, the February 15th, we have extended the enrollment confirmation deposit, which is the $100 to say that you accept your offer to become a Coyote in the fall, to June 1st because of the COVID-19 situation. Please have your students reach out to us if they need assistance with how to do this. We have a tutorial on the homepage of our admissions website that can walk them through the process. They can also call our office, send us an email. We're happy to guide them through this. A quick note about where to direct your students. For residency questions, we have a dedicated email, so residency@csusb.edu. They can submit documents there and work on their process to get residency cleared before they pay for their fall tuition. General admission questions or to schedule an appointment with a counselor is going to be moreinfo@csusb.edu. If they have transcript questions, we are taking those through the admissions apps at csusb.edu email. For appeal questions, they're to email admit@csusb.edu. And for our veteran applicants at all levels, they can email us directly at asrveterans@csusb.edu. Our office line is open and you're available to call us and talk to one of our staff. They can direct you appropriately. My contact information is also provided here for counselors, of course. Feel free to email me questions, concerns, any issues with your students, and I'm happy to respond and help you work through those issues. So I will move this slide forward. And in general, I just want to say thank you for your outstanding collaboration with me. Those that I have not met, I hope to meet you soon. And I've really enjoyed the process of getting to know our CSUSB students. And I'm excited for a fall class that looks to be amazing so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Next, we'll have our Director of Outreach, who joined the team last June after serving as the Associate Director of Admissions and Recruitment at UCLA's Luskin School of Public Affairs. She now leads our Office of Outreach and Student Recruitment. Please help me welcome Dr. Tiffany Bonner.
Good morning, everyone. I would love to just say welcome to this phenomenal event. This is, of course, the first time that we're doing this, and so I'm really excited to be a part of not only the CSUSB family, but this particular event. So let me go ahead and get started. Majority of you already know who your particular counselors are, but I would just like to formally introduce them as well. We have Brandon Landrum, who services the Mountain, San Bernardino, and Temecula valleys. Chris Bosey, who is in the high desert. Lucia Zarate, who's in San Bernardino, Redlands, Rialto, Fontana, and Colton. Melissa Guerra, who also oversees Chino, Corona, Ontario, Pomona, Rancho Cucamonga. Our newest member, Nicholas Clements, he actually right now is overseeing Yucaipa. We also have Brenda Machuca, who is in the Coachella Valley, as well as Alejandra Quintero, who's also servicing the Coachella Valley. Then we have Salvador Perez Jr., who is over Riverside and Moreno Valley. And we have Roger Griffin, who is our Native American counselor, who is actually a regional outreach recruiter. And last but not least, we have Marissa Ibarra, who oversees Banning, Beaumont, Hemet, San Jacinto, Murrieta, Paris, and Temecula. So for the fall to the present, I would like to just highlight the phenomenal work that the outreach team has done. In fall of 2019, we've made over 200 visits to our service area high schools to conduct high school CSUSB highlight presentations, as well as conducting CSU Apply workshops. We've also met with over 250 community college admissions. We've also conducted over 200 and met with 250 community college admissions appointments and conducted application workshops as well. In spring of 2020, pre-COVID, we had already accomplished 100 visits to high schools and community colleges to conduct next step presentations. So now that we are in the midst of COVID-19, the work continues. So we are here to still conduct virtual presentations. We are conducting phone and Zoom appointments. So please reach out to our counselors to get something scheduled if you have not already. We are here to support you and our students. So I wanted to highlight a few recruitment and outreach opportunities that are upcoming. So for 2020, we will have a virtual Coyotes Next Steps presentation, our first for the Coachella or Palm Desert campus, which is going to be on May 1st. And that's going to be for both first-time freshmen and transfer students. Then also this month in May, we will have a host of freshman and transfer presentations. Those dates will be determined. We'll also in the summer, we'll be having Coyotes Rising and our first People's Coyotes Rising, which is an amazing opportunity for our high-achieving African-American students. That will be happening on June 24th through June 26th. And then we will have a Native American student cohort for a week, which is going to be from June 28th through July 2nd. Because we are right now in the virtual space, we are planning to bring all of those students back to campus sometime in the fall for them to reconnect with our campus. Something very exciting that I would like to also share. So Cal State San Bernardino and California colleges are working together to put on a host of webinars for linking students to California colleges. Linking students to California colleges accounts with their Cal State Apply application streamlines their application process by migrating their transcript data and specific flags directly to CSU from your district student information. So validating data to help identify transcript errors that could affect admission or financial aid determination. It also provides detailed reports for K through 12 educators with this account. So with that, between May and September of this year, CSUSB and College Next will be co-hosting a series of virtual workshops highlighting this integration between California colleges and Cal State Apply. So be on the lookout for more announcements. Be on the lookout for more announcements to come. So again, we are here to support you. And while we have suspended our in-person services, the outreach team remains at the forefront of providing virtual services for you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tiffany. Just as a reminder to our audience, please feel free to ask your questions now in the chat. We will be able to answer them as best we can in the moment, or hold them for the end during our Q&A session. Also, if your question is specific to the needs of your school or college, please go ahead and include the name of your school or college in your question so that we can best address the answer. Thanks again, Tiffany. Next, we're going to move on to our Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships, who joined us from Cal Poly Pomona last August. She's making some amazing changes to the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, and we're very lucky to have her on the team. Please help us in welcoming Dr. Diana Meyer.
Thank you, Rachel. Good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure being here with all of you today. I've only been at San Bernardino for 8 months, and I can say that it's truly home. The collaboration across campus and within the community is really amazing. While I may not have met many of you, I hope that will change in the future. So I wanted to start off with talking about the mission of the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, which really sets our foundation. The goal of our office, first and foremost, is to support student success. We work towards that goal through our mission, which guides our existence. We provide students and families with guidance and information about the services we offer and the resources that are available to them. We really strive to effectively and efficiently facilitate the disbursement of all of our funds to students in both an accurate and timely manner in order to allow our students to pursue their educational goals without having to worry about how to finance their education. This is where our collaboration and partnership is key. You have a connection and an understanding of our students before we do, as you work with them for some time before they come to us, which makes it imperative that we continue to work together in support of student success. It is critical that together we provide a transparent and consistent message to our students and families, and that we lean on each other for support. I'd like to continue by giving you a glimpse into some of the financial aid statistics at San Bernardino. For the 2019-20 academic year, of the 2,191 students enrolled at San Bernardino, 17,330 of those students received some form of financial aid. That represents 86% of the student population overall. Of those 17,330 students who received financial aid, we awarded Pell Grants, which is our largest form of federal assistance, to 11,537 students, which represents a 67% of the population. Also, in total, we dispersed well over $200 million, which is inclusive of grants at the federal, state, and institutional level, loans, and self-help, which includes work study and scholarships. While loans are an important part of financial aid, especially for those students and families who do not qualify for grant or scholarship aid, our students are responsible borrowers. The average default rate at the national level is 10.1%. And as you can see, San Bernardino is well below that average with a 5.4% default rate. For our new incoming freshmen and transfer students, we have provided more than 5,000 offer letters for the 2020-21 academic year. We created an award letter package that we felt would really aid in the understanding of the financial aid being offered to students, so that they could truly compare their offer to other institutions and have a better understanding of the cost, both direct and indirect. We also felt it was important to include a description of the types of aid being offered, the components that make up the student budget, and provide information for campus resources in case they have questions. The Office of Financial Aid and Scholarship strives to keep up with the trends that support student success. To that end, I would like to share some of the exciting updates that have taken place in our office over the last year. The first is the new financial aid director, which is myself. I bring over 30 years experience in higher education, mainly in financial aid, and my approach is student focused. I think when you approach things from this perspective, your processes and procedures, as much as possible, tend to meet the needs of your students. A new and exciting addition to our team is the inclusion of our financial aid wellness coordinator. This position was created to provide a holistic approach to the understanding, the training, and information about financial wellness and the impact it has on student success. Our financial aid wellness coordinator may be connecting with many of you to collaborate on presentations, events, and outreach for our community. Another update has been the streamlining of our scholarship application. The application has been decreased by more than 50%, taking it from 16 pages down to 6 pages. In addition to that decrease, many of the fields are being pre-populated so the student doesn't have to take time to input data that we already have in our system. We hope this will increase the number of students applying for scholarships, and we are continuing to streamline our efforts of the entire scholarship application. It is important to keep open communication in order for students, faculty, staff, and our community partners, including all of you, to understand our processes and timelines. To accomplish this, we created an information series using several social media platforms to provide pertinent information related to the financial aid programs, to our processing, and to our deadlines. The more information we provide about financial aid and scholarships, we continue to demystify the entire process. Focusing on community partnerships and education, the Financial Aid Wellness Coordinator will be focusing on creating presentations and workshops to include topics such as how to plan and budget your funds, what is a credit score, understanding financial aid, completing the FAFSA and the CADA applications, key components of financial literacy, responsible banking, and there's many more that are coming, so that I'm sure she will be contacting many of you to assess your needs and hopefully be able to assist you with presentations and many other things that are in her wheelhouse. We are in unprecedented times and are working in modalities that some of us are not familiar with. Even so, we continue to offer our services, so the impact to our students is minimal. The Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships is temporarily closed to in-person services due to COVID-19 outbreak, which began on the 23rd of March. So that our services are not interrupted, our staff are continuing to monitor both phone calls and messages, including email communication on a regular basis during normal business hours between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Our staff are responding to messages within 3 to 5 business days. Certain cases, of course, may take a little bit longer depending on the circumstance and the information that is needed. Students who are wishing to speak with an advisor have the option to either schedule a Zoom appointment or a telephone call with any of our advising staff. Our contact information is listed here on the slide. We have our location within University Hall when we open back up. Our office hours, again, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 6, Friday, 8 to 5. But there's been an update to that. It's actually Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Our office phone number is listed, our fax number, and our website address. So feel free to have your students contact us, or feel free for you to contact us through any of those means. So I thank you so much for being with us today, and I really look forward to our continued partnerships.
Thank you, Diana. Last but certainly not least, our Director of Orientation and Transition Programs has been with our campus for about 6 years, and both serving as our Director of Orientation and First Year Experience, and his expanded portfolio that includes our campus visits and other transition programs. Please help me welcome Mr. Brian Willis.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. There's over 100 of you counselors out there from our community colleges and our high schools. And again, we really wanted to do this in person, but we're glad and I have information to share with you all, given orientation specifically as our students transition in. So first and foremost, orientation, as you all know, is a critical step in all of your students' transition into Cal State San Bernardino. And we are so excited to welcome the new class. Our outreach team has done a great job. Our admissions team is going through files, and obviously financial aid, and really working to make sure that all of your students have the financial means to be successful. But then we get to orientation, and we know that it is a very critical piece. And for those of you that may recognize me from prior Counselor's Day and coming to my presentations, it's going to sound very familiar, but unfortunately, again, because of unprecedented times that we are facing, we've had to make significant changes to our program. So we would love to welcome all your students to campus and show them around and make some connections and learn about their academic requirements to come to campus. But unfortunately, that is not going to happen this year. It is with a heavy heart that we have had to make some very tough decisions about changing our program, our transfer students and our first students that are coming in. And so although our goals of our program are still the same, we want to create a welcoming atmosphere for all of our students so they make some connections. Some of the physical environment pieces we're going to have to think about differently, and I'll explain that a little bit since we physically can't have them on campus. But academics is at the core of our mission with orientation and making sure that our students really understand their degree requirements, making sure they understand choice of major. For some of our students, they haven't made up their mind yet, and we understand that. And we understand it's also a very trying time for them as they're finishing all of their coursework virtually, whether it's from high school or the community college. And then also, as you know, we are also switching into a semester system. And so we also have some transitioning to do ourselves. And so through orientation and what we've created as a model for this summer. It will be for both our transfer students and our first year students. And so I will talk about both programs interchangeably for a little bit, and then I'll talk specifically about each one. And then I will also talk about our Palm Desert campus and their transition as well. So this applies to all the orientations and transition programs that are going on for all of our campuses. So I am going to move on to the next slide. So here's what we've decided. So we can't physically bring our students to campus, which is very sad for us because we really enjoy having them come and showing off our beautiful campus. And so what we have decided to do and what we are currently working on is to create a virtual online program. So for many of you, you may already have that in your campuses. And so this is something that we are diving into and working on. And so what we've done is we've divided up kind of what we've traditionally done in a one-day program for our transfer students and what we've traditionally done as a two-day program for our first-year students. And we've kind of created this kind of three-phase process for all of your students. And so what will happen is your students will need to attend, and it is required that they need to attend a live webinar event. So very familiar or very similar to what you are watching right now. All new students will need to participate in that. So when they get their invitation to register for orientation, they are registering for the live webinar. The live webinar is where we are going to take attendance to meet the requirement for orientation. So, and I'll go into a little bit more details when it comes to each transfers or our first year students. But again, the live webinar is kind of the main component. We know we can't fit everything in the live component. We are taking an 8-hour day and trying to give as much information as possible. And so the webinars are not going to be 8 hours. They're probably going to be 2 to 3 hours, given the information that we find is most critical for your students. And so we're missing a lot of information. And so what we've created is this online, this pre-orientation Blackboard course that all students will have access to. So once students register for their webinar, they will get access to a Blackboard course in which they can take their own time. They'll have a lot more information that we just can't cover in the webinar. And so this is a great tool for all of your students to refer to. We really encourage them to do it prior to the webinar because we're going to start to give them information and language so they can help to understand the webinar a little bit easier. It is obviously not ideal for us to do this in a web base, but it is currently where we are. And so right now we are currently working on the Blackboard. So it is not available. So if you have, especially for our community college counselors that are out there, your students may have already registered for orientation, but they don't have their Blackboard yet. It's because we're still creating it. All of this has hit us fairly quickly, and we are trying to make changes as quick as possible, as you know. And it will be available and emailed to all the students who have already registered as soon as possible. The last thing that we know that always happens at orientation and that we pride ourselves on is we have our orientation leaders, so our current students, that really start to build engaging and connecting with with the new students. And a lot of that is done in person. Again, we don't get to have that opportunity, so we are really focused on an enhanced fall program so that students that come in, whether they're a transfer student or a first-year student, we really enhance that connective piece. So we are looking at large barbecues and large social events so that they can start to make connections with their classmates, with their peers, with their colleges, and all that kind of stuff. And so we're really excited to do that. Hopefully, and again, cross my fingers, that we will be open in the fall. And if we're not, we will find other ways to make sure that our students get connected. But the plan currently right now is to make sure that we are planning for a fall open. And then one little piece of advice, again, for you all, just to remind your students that they are unable or they're not able to register for that live webinar event until after they've paid their enrollment confirmation deposit. So there's a little flag. Obviously, the systems are all set up that they need to pay that first before they can get into the system. So that is what we're doing for both our transfers and our first year programming. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about each one. So for all of our community college counselors and folks that are out there that work with our transfer student population, It is, like I said, it's going to be a live webinar. We're expecting an attendance here at the San Bernardino campus, about 2,700 transfer students. That's kind of our target. Registration is open now, so if they've paid their $100 confirmation deposit, they can go right ahead, go enter their My Coyote, or they can go to the orientation webpage and find the instructions of how to register for the live event. There are multiple dates, as you can see, and they can pick whichever one is best suited for their schedule. Still a one-time fee. We do have to pay for all of the technology and all the pieces to make sure that this is all run smoothly. So the fee hasn't gone away, and it is paid with their fall tuition. So again, we get that question a lot about do they need to pay up front? And they don't. It is just added to their fall tuition. So for many of our students who receive financial aid, if there is enough financial reward for them, financial aid will sometimes pay for their orientation fee. So again, if students are really concerned about that, they don't have to worry to pay that upfront. And then for our transfer orientation for our San Bernardino campus, each of our session has a capacity of about 315 students. And so that's why you can see all the dates. I'm not going to read them all, but they all are all on our webpage. So that, again, the webinars are scheduled for about 2 hours for our transfer students. And so you can see, like, the first one is from 10 to 12. And I will let you know the first two sessions, the May 21st and the May 26th, are already full. So we already have a large number of students that are moving and doing what they need to do to get through orientation. And so, but there's still plenty more dates for them to choose. And that is for our San Bernardino campus. Those are the dates. The next one, same information, but for our Palm Desert campus. Again, their attendance are expecting about 300 students. Registration is open now. They pay the same fees. Their sessions are a little bit smaller. They're about 35 students per session. They have a little bit more intimate advising that they do with the Palm Desert students. And then those are the dates they have as well. And again, those are also online. Students can do the same registration process. And so it's pretty much the week of June 1st through June 6th, and it's offered twice a day, at least for the first 4 days, and then on the Friday and Saturday, just once a day. And so again, our transfer students we know are important. We specifically gear all of our information in the program. The first half of the program is really about kind of student services. We have required information that we need to share with the students, such as Title IX and student conduct information. We're going to have financial aid come and speak to all of our students so they understand their financial aid piece. And then we're going to talk a little bit about transition and what they can expect through the transition process. And talk a little bit about engagement, right? So again, all of these things are helping them to succeed and be engaged at Cal State San Bernardino. And then the second half of the presentation is all academic advising. We have our advisors there to help walk them through degree requirements. We have them to help them set up for registration, and then help walk them through all of that. We are also planning, that hasn't been decided yet, but we are planning to have some set days, so open kind of Zoom sessions, so that if transfer students need extra help with registering for classes, there's going to be kind of a drop-in, kind of open virtual help area. And so more information we give into students about that. So again, if your students are extra concerned about the courses that they need to take because of their major, we will be sending out additional help days really as we get closer to the registration process. So again, if there's more questions about transfer orientation, please ask the questions below and I'll be glad to answer them after. Switching now to our first year orientation for our students coming in from high school. Again, this is focused on our San Bernardino campus first, and then we'll talk about our Palm Desert campus. Again, live webinars required. We're expecting about 2,600 new first year students to join us at the San Bernardino campus. Registration will be open on May 1st. So I know it says soon, but we've made some decisions since I made the slide like 2 days ago. May 1st is our target date to open up registration. So all admitted students, first year students will get an email communication, obviously saying that registration is open. Like always, they have to pay their $100 confirmation deposit before they can get in. And so just so you know, sometimes it takes about 24 hours once they pay their confirmation deposit before the system sees that they've paid it and checks all the boxes so that they can register. So it's not a automatic, they pay it and then it can go register. The system takes about 24 hours. So I always like to give that information so students don't start to panic and say, I paid, but I can't register. So we want to make sure we get that information to them. They also pay a one-time fee. Again, we still have to pay for our services and making sure that all of our online vendors get paid and whatnot. So, and it is paid with fall to upfront. Our capacity for our first year orientation is 350 per session. And if you notice, our sessions are a little bit longer. So our sessions for our first year students is 3 hours instead of 2 like our transfer students. And that is by design. We know that our first year students are coming in, and with most of our students being first generation, they need a little bit more information. And so we've designed the program to take a little bit more time to explain processes and procedures, and definitely spend a lot more time talking about academics here at Cal State San Bernardino for them to understand what the quarter system or what the semester system is like. Oops, little slip there. We're in the semester system, and making sure that they understand all the classes that they need to take. So those are all the sessions. Those are also online. And then for our Palm Desert campus, there's the dates, but we don't have the times. But on our webpage, the times have been listed. So by the time I made this slide, again, also, we did not have the times available. But since then, they are now all online. So I apologize that they're not on the slide currently. And we're looking at an attendance of about 150 first-year students at the Palm Desert campus. 40 students per session, and we're going to get them all registered for classes. And so the goal with all of our orientations by the time that they attend is that they will be ready to register for fall classes. And so we work with them and make sure that they are ready to register for all of those classes. In addition to our first year, for those parents and families, for our first year students, we don't typically do family orientation for our transfer students, but again, we are moving virtually. And so we do not have dates at this point. We are still kind of working on the structure of what that looks like, but it is optional for parents to attend. And so we will send out a postcard to all of our parents, letting them know that they can register for parent and family orientation. We offer this in both English and Spanish. And then this year, there's no cost to our parent and family orientation. So normally it would be about a $40 cost. And that really, when we have it in person, it's really to cover food and some room rentals and all this stuff. But because we're doing it virtually and we're not really feeding our parents and families, we decided there'll be no cost to Zoom in to our presentation. So, and then you'll see some of the topics that we are going to talk about. Each of the parent orientations is topic specific. So one is about financing college, one is academic support, campus safety, and parking, and then also housing, on-campus housing and dining is one presentation. And then we're doing a separate presentation on just about supporting students through their transition. So we know that parents are a critical partner to helping students succeed, and we want to make sure that we give our parents all the tools and all the resources available to help their students be successful. So we have a whole program just on that. And like I said, dates and times for both the Palm Desert and San Bernardino campus will be coming out soon. So just as parents may ask or as students talk about it, we will continue to have a parent and family orientation. Just again, some things to know. Orientation is mandatory, so every student, whether they are a transfer student or a first-year student, must attend the live webinar. If they do not attend their webinar, they will not be able to register for classes. So there is a orientation hold put on their account. We lift that hold after they've attended the webinar. So, and then because this is new territory for us, they need to attend. So if it's a 2-hour webinar, they need to attend at least 1 hour and 45 minutes of the webinar, right? So they can't just log in and log out and can't be counted as present. We have reports that we can see how long each student has been on our webinar. And if they don't meet our requirement of at least, 90% of the presentation, we will probably not lift their hold. And so it is important as you talk to your students to make sure that they carve out time from work if they're currently working, or they set time aside and pick a date and time that will work best for their schedule, because we feel this specifically this year with the webinar, we have pared it down to the most critical information that they need to know to be successful. So please make sure if you can talk to them or really stress that they need to attend orientation and they need to be there the whole time. And then lastly, this is some of our contact information. If you have any questions, we are answering phones. So we have our admin assistant always answering the phones, but we email is preferred because we can spend a little bit more time, but our phone number works, our email works, and obviously there's our website to get more information. So last but not least, thank you so much. I know that it was a lot of information. We know the transition process for your students is critical. Me and my team are very excited to help with all of that. We're looking not only for a great summer to get them the information they need, but also to look at the fall programming, and then really engage with them with their first year experience. And so thank you guys so much for all you paying attention. And if you have any questions, please let us know.
Thanks, Brian, so much. I do want to add one additional resource that we've developed for our families as they are helping students to support. CSUSB is actually launching a parent and family association this year. And so we have a new website, CSUSB.edu/family. That website is kind of a central resource for our community to be able to start connecting to all of the various services and resources that the campus offers. The Parent and Family Association in and of itself will allow family members to receive ongoing updates from CSUSB. Those updates will be both general to the institution, but specific based on their interests and things that they'd like to know about. We'll also be curating that list to be able to invite families to different events, workshops, and activities that are going on. So if your families are looking for ways to connect more formally to CSUSB, please encourage them to visit CSUSB.edu/family and to join our Parent and Family Association. It is a no-cost membership, so they just truly put in some contact information, give us some information about what they're interested in learning about from the campus, and then we start to connect with them in that space. Now that we've finished our formal presentations, we're going to move on to our question and answer session. And to assist us with our session today, please help me welcome a couple of our staff members. Ashley Watterson is our first year experience coordinator.
Hello, everybody.
And Jonathan Gonzalez Montelongo is our visitor services and events coordinator.
Hi, everyone.
They're going to go ahead and take over, and the rest of us will be here to answer your questions.
All righty, so we have a few questions here about some of the webinar questions in terms of, are we going to make this available? So I just wanted to address that on our website, if you go to csusb.edu/visit-CSUSB, that is under admissions events. You'll see our Counselors Day program. We'll make sure that we have a link to the recording so that if you want to share this with the colleagues that weren't able to hear, or if you want to look back at the webinar for any reason, we'll be able to post those there. So I just wanted to address that before we get started with some of the formal questions. So I have a question here. I have a question as far as total cost of attendance for 2020-2021 that came along with the financial aid letter I received. Under other educational costs, it's $13,754. What would fall into this category?
Thank you, Jonathan. The $13,000 that you're referring to, I believe, is the cost of attendance, and it could be a couple of things. I don't have the award letter, so I'm going to answer that in a couple of ways. So if it's your cost of attendance that is being referred to, those components include tuition, room and board, transportation expenses, personal expenses, and books and supplies. So that is one component. The $13,000 could also be direct costs, because we separated out the direct costs this year. And so if that's what you're referring to, it would be tuition, which is a direct cost, and room and board if you're staying on campus. It could be, which I don't think it is, the actual cost that a student or parent would pay once their financial aid is distributed, but that amount is more than likely the $13,000. It's more than likely the components, or it's the direct cost.
Awesome, thank you. Ashley?
Okay, so the next question we have is, as a transfer student, would they be able to take summer courses? As an incoming transfer student, will they be able to take courses? And I'm gonna throw that to Dr. Tiffany Bonner.
Hi, sorry about that. So actually, I would defer to Lisa Rubio to answer the question in terms of summer courses.
Hi there. So hopefully you all can see me in this moment. For summer courses for our transfer students, typically we have something called early summer starters. This summer, we're not going to be able to accommodate that, not because of the COVID-19 situation, but because we're transitioning to quarter to semester, which is limiting our time in the summer. They can, however, take summer courses where they are at, so at their community college or open university. If it's due to the COVID-19 situation, then have them reach out to our office so that we can work with them to see what's going to be missing in terms of units and then what will be needed for summer. So it's a couple different scenarios happening, but if it's just a question about early summer starters, that's not going to take place this summer on campus, but hopefully we will next summer.
All righty. I have a question. This one I'll throw to Dr. Beach. Will fall semester be online?
That's a good question. At this point in time, CSUSB and actually the CSU in general has not made any decisions about fall instruction in terms of the modality. A lot of it is going to depend on kind of what is best advice from obviously from the governor, but from the counties that we're in, both San Bernardino and Riverside counties, and really what is best and most safe for our students, our faculty, and our staff. We're making this decision, as we will be making this decision, we'll be providing updates to the student community. It will also be posted on our COVID-19 website. If you visit our CSUSB.edu main page, you'll see a yellow banner across the middle of the page. All updates, including what our instructional modality will be for the upcoming term, will be posted on that site. We are online for the summer session, but at this point in time, no decision has been made for the fall.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Next, I would like to ask financial aid Dr. Miner. Many students have been told that they have not, or many students have told me they have not received their financial aid award letters. When are these being sent out, or when will they be sent out?
Actually, financial aid award letters for the 2020-2021 academic year are being sent out on a weekly basis. We've sent out so far a little over 5,000. They're processed, again, in batches on a weekly basis based on when students are admitted. We do have some that come back with an incorrect address. So we're working on those right now to determine a correct address and resend those out. But we are processing award letters on a weekly basis.
Thank you.
And Dr. Miner, could you clarify if the email is going out as well as the physical letter?
The email went out over a month ago, and the physical letters continue to go out.
Okay. For Brian, you mentioned there is a 3-phase virtual process. I'm sorry to ask for the clarification, but what are the 3 separate phases required for the webinar or orientation?
Sure, I'll be glad. I'm going to go back to the slide that I talked about the 3 phases that we are doing. So the slides should be back up. So our online virtual orientation program, again, we have taken what has typically been done in a one-day program and in a two-day program for our first-year students, and kind of broken them into 3 phases. The pre-orientation Blackboard is a kind of a online module that the students will get that they can take their own time to go through. So it will be things about financial aid, there'll be information about housing, getting involved, a message from our president. And so it really is kind of a series of small vignettes that the students will get more information that we can't cover in the live webinar. So that will be sent to the students. So that's one phase. The live webinar is the critical piece of where all students need to be registered and attend. And so again, for our transfer students, it's going to be a 2-hour time block that we're asking them to be in the live webinar. And for our first year students, we're asking them to give us 3 hours of their time. And the live webinar is where we are taking attendance. And so that is the most critical piece. And so when your student goes to register for orientation, like they have in many years, they are registering for the live webinar. So that date and time that I showed you and that is on our webpage, that is the most critical piece, because that is the most critical information about giving them academic information and getting them prepared to register for classes. And then the last piece, which again, they'll get more information about, is we were just looking at creating some enhanced fall programming so that they will start to build connections. We know a sense of belonging is very important for our students to get connected to the university. And so that's the third piece. And we have Ashley, who's actually here, is working on a lot of programming for the fall for our first year experience programming. So those are the 3 phases. But as I will emphasize, the live webinar is the most critical piece that your student needs to register for so they can get their orientation hold lifted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. So this is for financial aid. Is there a specific link to schedule an appointment with the financial aid officer, or I'm sorry, financial aid advisor, now that we are doing everything virtually?
Actually, there's several different ways that you can call and make an appointment, either Zoom or a phone call with our advisors. So one is still calling our main line, because we still have folks answering the line. We have our website, and there is a chat function on our website. It's called the chat bot. You can ask a question in there to schedule an appointment. Either if the chat bot can't answer, there's actually people that are monitoring the chat bot, and they will take over and respond to the question. You can also, if you just happen to be on our main web page, you can use the search function for the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, which will take you directly to our page, and you'll be able to schedule an appointment there or schedule a phone call.
Thank you.
All righty. So I just want to remind everyone again to use the chat feature to ask any questions. And if you do have a specific question about admissions or outreach, if you could add your school name so that we can get that to the right presenter. So as we wait for more questions, let me throw a question to Dr. Beach. How are we looking for our fall 2021 admission cycle?
Yeah, so I did want to provide a little bit of an update on what's going on. If you're following the news that's coming out from the CSU Chancellor's Office, we are going test optional for the 21 cycle for our incoming first year students. And really, we're not going to be using the SAT or ACT at all in our cycle. We're using, we're going to be adding a whole bunch of new questions to Cal State Apply to be able to get a bigger picture of who your students are, and to be able to use that information to help us inform the best decisions we can. We're going to be using a new decisioning modality. And so it's going to take some getting used to for us, but also I know for you, as happened a few years ago when we moved to the transition to Cal State Apply, we know that there was a lot of questions about how that will be implemented. As we get more information, as we move forward into the fall term and getting ready for the launch of the fall 21 application cycle in Cal State Apply, we will provide another opportunity to connect either in person or virtually to do some training on those additional questions that may come up based on the application. So if you, as you are thinking about things, or if you're having questions as they're received from your families, please reach out to me or to Lisa. We'll be happy to answer whatever we can for you and based on what we know right now. But no, we're going to be spending a lot of time this summer kind of recalibrating our normal operations so that we're prepared to admit students as quickly as we have, but also as accurately as well. So I'm just wanting to let you know that we are still in the process of informing what that's going to look like. But we will, as we have more information, keep you up to date.
Awesome. Ashley?
Okay, so this next question is for Brian. Where should students be directed to register for orientation? Is this through the Coyote account or through the CSUSB website?
Good question. My mic is off. So they will actually go through their My Coyote portal. And so they will log in, and then once they get into the portal, they'll see all of the different tiles that are in there. And then they will need to find, well, there'll be a tile that says orientation. They'll click on that and it'll walk them through the process of registering for orientation. So it's pretty quick, two-step process really. Their information will be self-populated. We ask them questions, but again, the questions are more geared for on-campus visit. They can kind of skip through that, and all they really need to do is pick which date they want to attend the virtual orientation. So all of those steps are on our webpage. If they need more assistance, they can always call or email us, and we'll walk them through that process. But it's done through their My Coyote portal.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Dr. Bonner, is there an application for the First Peoples Coyotes Rising Summer Experience?
Thank you. That's a very good question. We will have an application available towards the end of May, the beginning of June. So information will be on our website in terms of the steps to apply, as well as we will be sending out notifications to all students that have identified as Native American to participate in this event.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next question is, when will final transcripts be required, as it will take longer for grades to post at our high school?
Hi, Ashley. So I'll take that question. Our final transcript deadline is typically July 15th every year. The Chancellor's Office is really encouraging campuses that can get it out to their schools by that date to please do so. If it is going to take a longer amount of time than that, we are open to working with your campus or your school district in order to accept those really through the beginning or duration of the fall term. We will need it, however, before they begin their spring semester.
All righty. I have some questions coming from our social media. So how will we know what classes we will be taking for fall 2020 during orientation? Will we have to schedule an appointment with a counselor?
Sounds like a question for me. So what will happen during the academic advising portion of orientation is that our academic advising team we'll do a group advising session with all of them. And then we tend to break them into college-specific sessions. And so depending on what their major is and what college they land in, they are given what we call roadmaps. And so students are provided information, again, what specific classes they need to enroll in. And again, we use what we call our pause report. And so our Office of the Registrar takes all of the transcripts that you and your students have been sending in, and they create their what courses they've already taken specifically for our transfer students, and they work with that to what courses they need to take. And so we know that a lot of our transfer students coming in have taken a lot of coursework, but we still have some upper division course requirements that they need to take here at Cal State San Bernardino. And then obviously, depending on their major, they will have major courses. So all of that is conveyed to the student before they register classes. And so it is pretty straightforward what they should be taking. And that is why we also have our transfer orientation so early in kind of May and June, because it is right around the time when registration for fall opens up. So we want to make sure that all of our transfer students have access to as many classes as possible. And with our first year students, we actually reserve classes for them. And so we can have our first year orientation later in July. So, but yes, our advisors really work with them. And so if they need additional help, and this is a message that we get all the time, if your student needs additional help, we ask that they attend orientation first before reaching out to their college advisors. And so if they call the college advisors, the college advisor will ask them, have you attended orientation? If they say no, they haven't, then they're going to refer them back to make sure that they've done orientation first. If they have completed orientation, then the academic advisor for the college will obviously make an appointment and sit with them and help them select classes for them. So it really is kind of we hope during orientation they get all their questions answered, but if they need additional help, they can get that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is, have all acceptances to the university been sent out to students? And I'm going to direct that to Lisa Rubio.
Hi, Ashley. So decisions for fall 2020 are pretty much out for about 99.9% of both populations. For freshmen, there's a very small group left, less than 30, that were mostly late applications and some other transcript issues. For our transfers, we have a very small batch, maybe about 200 that are remaining, where we're working to either open documents or they're returning applicants. But for the majority of both populations, all decisions have been out for about a week or two. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Next question, Dr. Miner. Are the financial aid award letters being sent out so late because of COVID? If the May 1st deadline was still in effect, would it be difficult for students to make a final decision without having their financial aid award letters to compare schools? I know the deadline has been extended to June 1, so they have some time. However, I'm just wondering if the letters will always be coming out later in the year. Is this just due to COVID-19?
Jonathan, actually, we began sending out award letters the second week in March. That was our biggest batch, and we continue to send them out weekly. Even if it's only one or two, we still send them out. The ones that are going out now are for those students who were admitted late. So as Lisa mentioned, she's still working on a couple of hundred. So as those students are admitted, we will then follow that up with a financial aid award letter.
Thank you, Dr. Miner.
Okay, so let's see. I'm a counselor at Riverside City College. First of all, thank you for everyone for providing this information on this platform to communicate with all of us in attendance. If recently admitted students decide not to attend fall due to COVID-19, what are your recommendations for students in terms of reapplying?
I think if no one else is going to jump in, I'll go ahead and start. I think my first piece of advice would be for the student to contact our admissions counselors. I think this is an opportunity for them to really talk about some of their concerns about joining us in the fall term to make the best decision for them, right? And I think our counselors are fairly well versed kind of in helping students walk through that decision-making process. They can do a couple of things at that point, really looking in kind of when will they be ready and looking and preparing themselves for fall 21. At that time, and maybe it's a consideration that if they wouldn't go full-time, maybe they would go part-time in the fall. And so, my best piece of advice to the student would be to reach out to one of our admissions counselors, have that conversation, and to see if we can help allay some of their concerns about getting started this upcoming term.
All righty. Thank you, Dr. Beach. Lisa, we have a question for you in regards to grades. If a student is repeating a course this current spring semester or upcoming summer for a course that he or she earned a D or F previously, will the past repeated course satisfy the A through G requirement? And for GPA purposes, will the D or F get taken out of the GPA calculation? And let me correct myself. When I said pass, it was in quotes. So that's what would appear on their transcript, would be just a pass.
Okay, so let me understand. The course for spring term is graded pass-fail, and we are repeating a previous course that was D or F. As long as your school is indicating that a pass is equivalent to a C or higher, then yes, we will validate that course for any prior Ds or Fs and be able to update a calculated GPA and remove that D or F.
Thank you.
Okay, so just for clarification, was a deferment for the our enrollment confirmation deposit for students to be able to pay the $100 by May 1st. Could they still register for orientation and moving forward?
Sure. So the enrollment confirmation deposit deadline has been moved. So the May 1st was typical of our deadline, but is now June 1st. So students have a little bit more time to make sure that they pay their enrollment confirmation deposit, and that was a decision made by the university. And so, yes, they will still need to make sure that they pay their enrollment confirmation deposit prior to enrolling for orientation. So that will still be a requirement for them to complete, but the deadline is until June 1st.
Thank you, Brian. We have a question for Dr. Miner, a clarification question about some of the categories in the financial aid award letter. When it was mentioned direct cost, when it mentions direct cost, what does that mean in the financial aid award letter? The other educational cost category is listed as a separate category from tuition and fees, housing and meals, books and supplies, and transportation. Is it its own category, direct cost?
Okay. On the award letter, when it refers to direct costs, those are costs that are actually paid directly to San Bernardino. So included in direct costs would be the tuition, any mandatory campus fees, and the cost for room and board if you are staying in campus housing. Those are actually the only direct costs. The indirect costs would be transportation, personal expenses, and books and supplies, because that can vary depending on where you travel to, how much you spend on books or supplies for your courses, and any personal expenses. So again, the direct costs are just your tuition, your mandatory campus fees, and room and board if you're staying in the campus housing.
Thank you. Ashley.
Next question. If a student cannot pay their enrollment confirmation deposit, how can they request a deferment of this fee?
Hi, Ashley. I'll be answering that question. Currently, there is no deferment or waiver available for the enrollment confirmation deposit. It has been extended out to June 1st, so hopefully that will give students some more time to work with our campus to figure out how to cover that payment. I encourage them please to email us directly at the More Info email box with their name and ID, explain the situation and see if we can assist. If you know of a student that you're working with, you can also email me directly. My email was provided, but lisa.rubio@csusb.edu, same situation, name, ID, so that way I can assist you as best we can.
Thank you.
And as a reminder to our counseling community, our enrollment confirmation deposit is actually a direct tuition deposit for students. So that $100 that they pay now actually comes off of their tuition bill in the fall term. So as we don't use it for other costs the way some other institutions do. It goes directly back to the students once they receive their fall tuition bill.
Thank you. And now kind of a comment or question about tools and resources for counselors. So this might be for Lisa and Dr. Bonner about, are there any ways or how-to videos with screenshots about how to submit the enrollment confirmation deposit, or there's actually a how to register for orientation, or how-to videos about the actual admissions application, and where can counselors find those resources? And I'll let either three directors talk about those resources.
Sure. So I can address very quickly the ECD tutorial right now is a basic PDF that's on our main page, the admissions page, and was also provided to students in their email. Reminder, it is just a basic walkthrough of the steps on My Coyote, where to click and how to proceed. But that is a great idea for us to develop some quick 1 minute or 2 minute videos to guide them. And so I'll let the others answer for the different areas.
So I'll go ahead and start as well, Lisa. So I do think that is a wonderful question in terms of having video tutorials. And so that is something that the outreach team could definitely work on to ensure that you all have the opportunity or the availability to watch a few videos to help you get through navigate different application tools that we have. Sorry.
And for financial aid, we do have several tutorials and videos on various social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, that talk about the different aid programs, that talk about deadlines, scholarships, and they can be accessed from our website also.
And then for orientation, as I mentioned, again, it is much like admissions. It is a step-by-step kind of process. We could definitely create some quick TikTok videos or anything that helps our students kind of get information. But we have some students that are currently still working with us, and we can give them a project. And if that would help you get the word out to your students, we can definitely work on that.
Thank you. The next question is, will there be a demo application for counselors to be more familiar with the new application? And then Dr. Beach.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that question. So, as we are working on adding in the new questions that will help us to inform the decisions for the fall 2021 cycle, as we have done the last few years, our goal is to provide whether it is a full demo application for counselors to be able to go in and test with and/or presentations. We're also working with our colleagues who put the application together through our corporate partner who works on that and the Chancellor's office. So as soon as we have access to that information, we will share it. And if we have a demo application or a workshop or both, we will make sure that you all know that information and can help to support your students through that new questions on the application.
Thank you. I have another question. This might be for both Dr. Miner or Dr. Beach about if CSUSB is online in the fall, will some of the mandatory campus fees be removed since students will not be on campus to utilize some of the services that fees cover?
Sure, I'll go ahead and take that question, Jonathan. Thank you. So as we have for the spring quarter, as we plan and figure out what our instructional modality looks like, we are assessing whether or not fees will be charged accordingly. So this term, just as kind of an FYI for you all, we did return some fees that were paid for courses and things that the experience have shifted. So our glass blowing studio, for example, a student would have had to pay a materials fee to participate in the glass blowing class. because they won't have an opportunity to go into that glass studio, we decided to return some of those fees. So fees are being assessed in terms of whether or not the resources are available to students in a virtual modality or not, and then will be removed or removed from their tuition bills accordingly. I don't want to say which, what, and there, because I think we're doing that kind of as an ongoing basis. But we are looking at as part of our planning when we go into the fall term, if we're not able to have in-person modality for the fall.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, next question. As the spring and summer semester 2020 is credit, no credit for most schools, given the students earn a pass in math and or foreign language courses, will it validate a previous semester if the student earned a D or F of lower levels in the respective subject?
For Lisa.
Yes. Hi, Ashley. Second repeat. I don't know if this is a similar question or one that was similar to one that was asked before, but if the credit, no credit, or pass is equivalent to a C or higher at your school and that is indicated, then we will use that course to validate the previous D or F grade.
All right, thank you, Lisa. For Dr. Bonner, will the CSU Counselor Conference in the fall be online?
As of today, yes, things will be moving to an online modality. So more details to come, but yes, we have suspended the in-person CSU Counselor Conferences, but more details to come. It will be a virtual series of webinars.
All right.
We actually have a question from our social media live accounts. This is going to be for Brian. So when will orientation be open for first year students to register? Can you give some clarification on that?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, we have just recently switched everything to virtual online. And so for our first year students, we are planning to open up registration for them on May 1st. And so we are still kind of creating the back end registration piece, but May 1st. And as I mentioned, emails should go out to all the students that have been admitted, letting them know that the registration system is now open. So May 1st.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if there are no other questions, we'll give it a little less than a minute here, but it looks like we've answered all the questions so far. So in the meantime, while we give it another 2 minutes, if we can go down the line, we'll start with Lisa. Just any quick tips or suggestions that you have as students transition into the fall and summer?
Sure. Hi, Jonathan. So one thing is your students have a little bit over a month to still complete their ECD for Cal State San Bernardino. We know that several of the impacted majors are still working on their applications and notifying students, and we've had some questions about that. Students do need to give us their response by June 1st, so they need to reach out to the department directly and get their status. We won't be extending past the June 1st, so that really is a hard deadline that they'll need to answer regardless of their department decision. The other things are just to work through their transcript situation with the school and hopefully get that to us as best we can by July 15th. Luckily, we've received a majority of transcripts by the February 15th deadline and have those pre-pause reports for orientation ready. So that's been a great benefit. The other things are just to reach out to our office. We do have phones available, email available. We're all very responsive. And so as concerns are coming up in this to have us.
All righty. Thank you. Dr. Bonner.
So I would like to just invite you all to reach out to our outreach team if you would like next steps presentations or any advising that you may possibly need. We are here again, either via phone and or email, but we are definitely looking forward to working with you throughout the summer as well as the fall. Thank you.
Dr. Miner.
Great, thank you. My response would be twofold. One, for students, is to make sure that you read everything that comes to you from the Office of Financial Aid, not just financial aid and scholarships, but from any office. I know that sitting down and reading a lot of information that you're getting can be overwhelming, but a lot of the information, if not all the information, is very important. So it's crucial that you read it, and don't be afraid to ask questions, especially about the financial aid process. For some people, it's very easy to understand, and for others, it's not. So we're here for you. We are ready and able to answer questions that you may have. So please don't hesitate to ask. And the same for counselors. We are here. So we would like for you to call us with questions. Email us with questions. If you don't find it on our website, please feel free to call us, and we're here to help you whenever we can.
And Brian.
Yeah, I think for me, again, working with orientation and the transition programs that I oversee, again, we are really here to welcome the students and make sure that they get the information they need so they are successful in their transition. And so my advice really for you all to share with your students is, just make sure that they log on and get their orientation webinar date secure. Most of our sessions fill up fairly quickly. Like I said, the first 2 for our transfer programs are already full. And so with our transfer students, it's also very important that the sooner that they can get their date, when they get their registration appointment time, they'll be able to register in a timely fashion. And then with our first year students, again, it really is a timely manner. So all I have to say is we are excited to have them come. We have great programming for them in the fall. And so even though orientation happens in the summer, they will definitely get a lot more information about things that are happening in the fall. We will take care of your students as best we can to get them acclimated and get them on the road to success. And so I'm really excited to see them all come through orientation.
Thank you, Brian. And Dr. Beach.
Sure. I think probably my best piece of advice is to continue to reach out and to be patient with us as we get answers. We don't know everything that's going to happen when it comes to the fall. We're still working on getting timelines and even making decisions. So no, we will keep your students and we will keep you as informed as we possibly can as those decisions are made by our senior cabinet and become public and official. We will be really looking into what does it mean for students if we're online or in person or in some sort of hybridized format. So know that those conversations are occurring on our campus and that we will work through and get those answers as fast as we can to our students, especially as they're making their decisions for enrollment for the term.
Thank you. So we'll go ahead, and we did receive some questions here. So we'll go ahead and answer a couple, and then we'll kind of go into closing. Okay. So for Lisa, if you sent a high school transcript, how long does it take to process?
Hi, yes. So there was a question as well about electronic transcripts versus in-person or hard copy and mail. Please know that we are still taking mail daily. So that is perfectly fine. You can process as normal. We also have a Dropbox that's located outside of University Hall building, which students or parents, families, anyone can really just walk up and drop their materials in. Please have them put their ID number on it, and we'll be collecting that as well. We do have staff in the office about once or twice a week that are receiving transcripts and scanning them in. So we still have about a 2-week turnaround from the time that we receive it or you mail and get that in and getting into our system. So just monitor the students' receipts. Please know that we will have it. Electronic is highly preferred because we can access it easier and research it if it's missing. But if you need to do paper, that is perfectly fine.
Alrighty, thank you, Lisa. And I'll take this final question about where are we going to be putting this webinar. So if you go to CSUSB.edu/visit-CSUSB, there is an admissions events link, and under that there's also Counselors Day link. That is where we're going to be placing a link to the recording for this webinar with the slides as well. So if you want to access this afterwards, you can always reach out there, or you could also reach out to ASR events@csusb.edu, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or send you the link to that. So that takes us to the end here. So I'll have Dr. Beach take over again.
Sorry, I couldn't find my unmute button. I just really want to thank everybody again for joining us today. We appreciate your time and your commitment, of course, to your students. We know this is a little bit of an uncertain time, and we want to be able to do what we can to support your students as they're transitioning to CSUSB or planning to join us for the following academic years. And we recognize your passion, your advocacy, and the work that you do to support your students. And so thank you for that. We really do value your continued partnership with the university. And as President Morales mentioned, we invite you to keep connecting with us. And for all of our CSUSB alumni out there, go Yotes. We're just excited that you are representing us well out in your communities and taking your experiences to share with your students. But there's also ways for you to continue to connect with us as well by joining us at our Alumni Affairs and our Alumni Association. So consider reaching out to alumni today if you're not already a member of our alumni community. Formally. Again, thank you for taking the time to listen to us and to be a part of our Coyote family. Thank you so much again, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.